Welcome to your Future Impact Employability Show, where we are talking all things careers, opportunities and the creative industry. So today we are joined by Darren Mooney. Hi Darren.
Hi Helen.
Darren joined us from Studio Global, a creative industry based in Bournemouth, and today he's going to talk to us about his role at Studio Global, employability opportunities within the creative industries, and why he thinks students should stay in the local area after they graduate. So first of all, we're going to jump into some questions. So firstly, tell us a bit about Studio Global.
Studio Global is a full service agency. We've evolved. We started out as a graphic design company, designing pub and club flyers pretty much for every pub and club, which was quite handy when we were in our early 20s. We got our name on all of these flyers that we were designing, then we needed to get them printed, so we ended up getting them printed, and it just enabled our name to get out there. But yeah, originally.
How did you get started? What was the inspiration?
Weirdly, I probably shouldn't be a designer. I was kind of destined to be a footballer, I think. My dad signed for Bournemouth when I was 7. And I just loved football. I was at Bournemouth as a kid, and all through all through my school, and then I went to California when I was 10 years old for my uncle's wedding, and saw his life. It was just insane. He had a black convertible Alfa Romeo. He had a place up in Napa Valley in the wine country, stroke Tahoe. Amazing offices in the middle of San Francisco, and he just took me under his wing, and I had this insight into the life of a graphic designer. I was like, wow, I love it. It just got me engaged with design and art, really. So yeah, that kind of kicked it off, and I did technical drawing at school and just loved it. And my teacher said, you're really talented, so if you're not going to be a footballer, you should go into design. So yeah, so I did 4 years at AUB, graduated, and then left the country, was supposedly forever. So, and here I am. Here I am, yeah. I miss my friends from football. I had a really strong friendship group. Obviously, Bournemouth is a beautiful place to live, on par with California, excluding the weather, really. We've had a good summer. But also I met the mother of my child, Kate, 3 months before I went. So that kind of brought me back.
Oh, nice. What an inspirational story, though. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Let's talk more about sort of the film and animation work that you offer clients. So talk to us about that.
We have always been story-led. It's inherent back to how we learn. I think if someone throws a load of facts and figures at you, inevitably you'll forget them in 30 seconds. But if someone's telling you a story, you're engaged. And if it's an interesting story, you remember it. And that's what gives you that empathy with that company and makes you more likely to buy from them. And even if you're in, God dare I say it, financial services or what would be classed as not very interesting industries, there's always an interesting story to be told. And we worked really hard to find those stories and then animate them or use cinematography and animation to kind of weave those stories into what we loosely call marketing, but ultimately what we're doing is telling a series of engaging stories.
Yeah, and I know myself that you listen more, you take in more information, don't you? If you're watching it, if you're listening to it. So I 100% get that.
Yeah, and I think our buying habits are now very empathetic. We want to know more behind the company. So if you're telling a story, you feel like you're connected to that company. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things that comes up a lot with young people is the talk of how AI and tech is sort of impacting the industry. How would you say it's impacting your company?
We have embraced it. We've been using it for probably 3 years almost now, and we use it as a really powerful tool to get projects started or to visualize concepts, where we would have to try and emotively explain ideas. Now we use AI, and when we're looking for content from clients, quite often that can be the blocker for getting a project started.
Okay.
So we will kind of interview, transcribe, process through various AIs because they've all got their own little personality, and get that content started, send it to the client saying, this is a loose script, or this is the content we're going to be starting to work with on your homepage or your product page. Are you happy with it? And it just gets the ball rolling very quickly. But also it enables us to go and win more work. We use it for conceptual kind of creative a lot. We're out pitching to a local bag company that's just done a big collaboration with Transport for London about collaborating with other industries, and some of the stuff we've created for them, it kind of blew their mind, and we did that in 2 days, whereas it probably would have been 2 weeks of an illustrator or a lot more money involved.
So it's kind of inherent in what you do.
It's a massive enablement tool for us, and it makes us much more efficient. And sometimes we'll pass that on to the client, and sometimes we spend more time refining stuff. So if we're doing a big website and there's lots of visuals, we now generate a lot of our own visuals, you know, that are much more bespoke and fitting rather than we've all looked at websites and just found stock photos.
Yeah.
So we actually create our own now. So so it makes it a lot more personable, even though people say AI isn't emotionally connecting, you know.
Yeah. So with that in mind, with AI and tech, and you know, young people thinking about how does that impact my skills, what kind of opportunities are you looking for as a company and young people? What can you offer?
I think the important thing for us is that, you know, we're looking for someone that's multi-talented, and you know, money's tight, right? And the cost of employing people has gone up, and I think it's only going to go one way. So we're not looking for an expert in branding or an expert in editing or an expert in illustration. Ideally, we want someone that's good or great at 4 or 5 of those things, you know. And then we look at how we can then utilise those skills, and as a team we work very collaboratively, so we tend to all muck in and jump in. You know, and when sometimes we're really busy on film, sometimes we're really busy on brands, so having someone that can dive in, you know, so we've now got a studio full of really broadly talented people that have all got a good eye to dive in and support when one department's really busy and the other one isn't, you know. So, and we're an agency of 8 people now, you know, so it's really important that those people can support each other. So.
Yeah, and I think that flexibility and adaptability is really key, isn't it? When you're looking to recruit young people, especially when they don't have as much experience. But if you've got that mindset of, you know, come in and learn different things, is really important.
Yeah, and I think with AI again, and lots more courses online, something that's close to your heart, I know, is that actually you can learn a lot more efficiently, and we're not expecting you to be an expert, but be proficient at it. So when you know, when you're asked, or the studio's particularly busy on one thing, you can go, look, I can do that. Or I might need a little bit longer than someone that's really, you know, kind of skilled at that, but you can dive in, you know. And those are the sort of people that we look at and go, wow, you're so valuable to us as an employee, you know, because you are so broad and multi-talented.
No, it's really important. So if we're talking about sort of students and, you know, the creative industries and sort of Bournemouth as a town, what would you say would keep a student after graduation here? You know, why would they stay here and not go to London, as an example?
I think if you look a little deeper, and I know there's lots of people outreaching from AUB and Matt here at BU, you know, Matt Desmere is great, he's got amazing connections with local agencies, you know, there's real talent with regards to multi-international clients. You know, I think everyone's got this perception you've got to go to London to work on international brand stuff, but you know, we work with Virgin Media, we work with Sky, we work with, you know, Hall & Woodhouse, Molson Coors, so we're working on, you know, European-wide campaigns, and we're based 2 miles away from here, you know, so if you look and you see the work that these agencies are doing locally, you're not going to be lacking for interesting work. And if you love being here as a university student, I'm guessing you've got your friendship group and some obviously family if you live locally, but if you're settled and you can then go into your first job in a place where you're settled and you love to live, it makes it a lot easier. So yeah, I would always make your first port of call look local if you can.
And where would students look? Where would you advise them signpost?
So we do, if you outreach to Matt, there's lots of events that they do with local businesses. We do the portfolio reviews on the VisCom course and the graphics course at AUB.
Okay.
So we'll kind of look at 5 students, and I know there's probably 7 or 8 different agencies that do those portfolio reviews. We use it as our talent, you know, kind of pool really. We look at the portfolios, we then will ask probably 5 or 6 of those students to come back and do work experience with us over the summer. So they come in for 2-week rolling periods. And you know, the feedback from them is that they learn a lot very quickly. I think the biggest kind of output that we get from them and the feedback we get from them is that they learn how to see what's good and what isn't in design very quickly. So when you're concepting or you're making a film, you learn how to kind of discard stuff a lot quicker. You know, what you need to do in a week here, you get a day to do in an agency. So you have to be much more efficient and a bit more diligent with, you know, your kind of creative honing and just generally getting a feel for what's good and what isn't.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, isn't it? You know, work experience and having that opportunity to actually be in situ in an agency or an organisation, just to learn from being right in that space.
And being in that pressure environment where you know, you've got one person that's on a massive deadline and maybe 2 or 3 other people that aren't, but they're working on something conceptually. So you have to be quite diverse in your thinking and be quite adaptive in your skill set, in the sense that I can support, actually, have you thought about this idea? Or actually I can dive in and help your editing because I can see that you're struggling. And you know, so it's and that kind of bonding is really, really important. Really, really important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. And what would you say that sort of more broadly speaking about the creative industry? Is there anything that more widely the industry is doing to change the perception that there aren't as many opportunities here for students?
I think the work that Matt does here is really great. There's a lot more of a relationship now between the university and the Arts University here, whereas probably 3 years ago there wasn't. It was really difficult to find out who to come and talk to if you wanted talent, and ultimately you'd then advertise or recruit, nationally, or bring people down from London, which is expensive. So now we tend to be our first port of call is looking at graduates and then bring them into our culture and adapting that and skilling them up from there. So,
fabulous. Well, this has been an amazing insight into your world. So what we're now going to do is we're going to move into a rapid quick fire round. So that is 1 minute, 5 questions. So let's go. So our first one is name one standout skill that you look for during an interview.
Personality.
Or personality. Bit more?
Need to be memorable and need to be a good cultural fit for us as a business.
Brilliant. So what one word sums up your culture at work?
Fun.
Fun, I like that one. How long do you scan a CV for?
Honestly, 2 to 3 minutes, I would say. It's all about portfolio for me.
Okay, so portfolio, okay. If you weren't in this industry, where would you like to be?
In a boy band.
In a boy band.
Probably missed the cut now, being over 50.
Why not? Why not?
But yeah, something like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, I would say.
I love that. Okay, and if your company was a food or drink, what would it be?
God, tough question. I reckon we would be a carrot, kale and ginger with a little bit of apple juice smoothie.
So a real variety.
Good for you, a little bit spicy.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay, so thank you so much, Darren, for being here today. And thank you so much for joining us today on your Future Impact Employability Show. If you have any questions, please get in contact with us on Facebook or Instagram, and we will see you again next week. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.